So I think we have to address the elephant in the room. I mean, it feels like everybody is whispering about it right now. Is AI the next .com crash? Are we just watching this massive market bubble inflate knowing it's going to pop? Or is the foundation actually, solid this time?
That is the essential question, isn't it? The headlines are just all over the place. One day it's total fear, the next it's $1 trillion boom. So our mission today is really to cut through that noise. We've been digging into the actual spending data and some really fascinating reports from places like MIT and Wharton to get to the truth.
Right. We're looking for the real story here
Yeah.
because the next 12 to 24 months, that period is going to be the critical test for this whole market. And for you listening, the core insight is figuring out where the real sustainable value is, especially if you're running a small business or an agency.
Exactly. So we've structured this deep dive as a kind of survival playbook. We're going to start by defining this idea of circular spending, which sounds a bit scary. Then we'll compare today to that dark fiber crash back in 2000, and then deliver a really practical five-point plan for how you can secure your success no matter what the stock market does.
Okay, so let's start with the scale of this investment because the number is just huge. We're talking about big tech, Microsoft, Google, Meta spending around $400 billion every single year on AI infrastructure, so data centers, chips, all of it.
And that leads us right to the paradox, which is where all this bubble anxiety comes from. These giants are spending way more money building all this stuff than they're making back right now and, clear customer revenue. The money flow looks immense, but how much is actually new money?
Which brings us to this term that's making people really nervous. Circular spending. It's kind of an accounting trick, but it shows a fragile foundation. The old lemonade stand analogy doesn't really cut it.
No, it doesn't. What's really happening is that the big cloud providers are investing in startups. They're giving them huge amounts of capital. But, and this is the key part, those startups are then contractually obligated to spend that exact same money buying cloud services back from the company that just invested in them.
So company A gets to record massive revenue from the cloud sales to company B, and their stock price goes up.
Right.
But it's just internal financial movement. It's not really new money coming in from Main Street.
Exactly. The growth is fueled by these self-generated deals. And that concentration is incredibly dangerous. If you look at the S&P 500, something like 75% of the recent gains are driven by just the magnificent seven tech stocks. So if that financial circle breaks, like if a huge startup suddenly can't pay its giant cloud bill, the drop would be fast and it would be widespread.
But if this circular spending is so risky, does that mean the entire utility of AI is just some kind of illusion?
No, not at all. The utility is very real. The financial model is just highly, highly concentrated right now.
Okay, so the financial engine is risky. But what about the technology itself? Have we seen this kind of massive infrastructure overspending before?
Oh, absolutely. We have to go back to the last big tech bubble. Yep. The dot-com crash in the early 2000s. That whole era was defined by dark fiber.
Right, these massive networks of fiber optic cables that were laid under the ground and across oceans. The idea was that everyone would need this incredible bandwidth instantly.
But they were too early. The users weren't there, the apps didn't exist, and those expensive cables just sat there, dark.
And that premature bet caused a spectacular crash.
What's so dramatically different today is the speed of adoption. The infrastructure being built now is absolutely not dark. I mean, whoa. Just imagine scaling to hundreds of millions of people using ChatGPT every single week.
Every week.
Or millions of developers using tools like Claude every day to write and test software faster. The cables are lit up. The demand is not speculative, it is real.
Yeah, the consumer demand is undeniable. That's bucket one. But bucket two business applications, B2B, that's where it gets much more complicated. And that's where the nervousness really lies.
So if the demand is real, why are some investors still so nervous about the business application side?
Because enterprise adoption is it's complicated, and it's leading to these wildly conflicting success reports.
Which brings us to this tale of two studies. We have these massive contradictory reports from two of the most respected institutions out there, MIT and Wharton.
Okay, let's start with the sobering one, the MIT report. It published this staggering claim that 95% of AI projects inside big companies' enterprises, they fail. They either get canceled or just don't deliver any value.
95%. That is just staggering. How can that number possibly exist at the same time companies are reporting massive ROI?
Well, when you dig into the why, it's usually structural. Big companies are like these giant, slow cruise ships. They're running on old systems. They have layers and layers of management. And when they try to build some custom AI solution, they just get stuck. They move too slow.
Okay, but then you've got the Wharton report, and they're saying that 75% of companies using AI are seeing a clear positive return on investment, a positive ROI. It's so hard to square those two numbers.
Here's the secret. It's in the methodology. MIT was looking at companies attempting custom development, trying to build their own AI brain from scratch. That's the 95% failure zone.
Ah, okay. And Wharton.
Wharton was looking at companies using off-the-shelf tools, just teaching their employees how to use ChatGPT better, or integrating simple existing AI services.
So it's a huge difference between trying to build an AI versus just trying to use an AI.
Exactly. And the most vital takeaway here for anyone selling AI services is what they call the speedboat advantage. Wharton found that smaller companies, the ones between $50 million and $250 million in revenue, they are winning. Big time. They have a 79% success rate.
They're speedboats. They can turn fast. They don't have all those management layers and old systems holding them back like the giant battleships.
Yeah.
So smaller businesses are actually 3 times more likely to succeed.
So how does this disparity in success rates immediately change how an independent AI service provider should operate?
It's simple. Stop chasing the giants. The mid-market is where the money and the success are found.
The data is pretty clear on this. The best strategy for an agency is not to go after the Coca-Colas and the Nikes of the world. They're the ones failing.
Right. And the good news from the MIT report is that when those big companies do work with an outside vendor, an agency, their success rate doubles. So the agency model is the necessary bridge. Companies just can't do this alone.
Okay, let's jump into the playbook for survival then, based on this data. Point 1, avoid the enterprise trap.
You cannot stress this enough. An enterprise sales cycle can take 6 to 12 months. It's just endless meetings. And because of that 95% internal failure rate, the project often gets canceled before you even get your second check. The huge waste of time and resources.
So the smarter move is to focus on the mid-market. These are companies with, say, $1 million to $50 million in revenue, maybe 10 to 200 employees.
Exactly. They're big enough to pay well for real value. We're talking $5,000 to $20,000 projects to start. And crucially, they're small enough to say yes quickly. You get to bypass all that bureaucracy. It's about the velocity of your deals.
Okay, playbook point 2. Get obsessed with ROI. The hype days are over, where you could sell AI just because it was cool and futuristic. That window has closed.
That's lasted maybe 18 months, tops. Now clients are asking the hard question. Show me the money. If I pay you $10,000, how much will I make back or save in the next quarter? You have to sell money saved or money made, not just technology.
And we have to teach clients how to even think about this. Like, take a simple dental clinic. You can literally calculate the annual cost of their manual work. Let's say 2 receptionists spend 4 hours a day each just answering simple appointment questions. At $20 an hour, that's over $20,000 a year.
And by showing them that specific number, that specific cost, and then guaranteeing you can automate 80% of those simple tasks, well, you're showing them $16,000 a year in savings. Suddenly, your $5,000 fee isn't a cost. It's a clear investment with a fast return. That is the language they understand.
Okay, point 3 in the playbook. Shift from builder to optimizer.
Yeah.
This is a common mistake. Agencies build a system, they hand it over, and they walk away.
That is the crucial mistake that leads to churn. AI is not static. It needs constant supervision because it makes mistakes. It hallucinates. And that just means the AI makes stuff up. It gives confident but wrong answers. The real long-term value is in monitoring it, fixing those bad answers, and making the system smarter over time.
So you tell the client upfront, building this is just step 1. My contract includes monthly optimization to make sure it keeps getting better.
And honestly, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself. Keeping an AI consistent over months is hard work. So to optimize, you can run a simple analysis on the chat logs and find where the AI was vague or wrong. Then you can suggest 3 specific rule changes to its knowledge base to make it more accurate next month. That's real, tangible value.
So what's the easiest way to secure those long-term client relationships based on this optimization focus?
You start with low-stakes entry points like training, then you immediately shift the conversation to a monthly retainer for that optimization work.
Which brings us to playbook point 4. Become an AI transformation partner and start with training. Because sometimes a business just isn't ready for a complex build. Their data is a mess, their team is scared of the tech.
And the Wharton study confirmed this. Training provides the fastest, most immediate ROI. If you teach 10 people how to use a tool correctly, how to write a good prompt, how to check the answers, you can get an immediate 20% productivity gain. That's massive value for a very low cost.
So the strategy is to offer an AI workshop or an AI audit first. It's way cheaper and easier to sell than a big development project. You get your foot in the door, you build trust, you prove your value, and then you can sell the bigger services later.
Exactly. You could pitch a 2-hour workshop for a real estate agency on writing listing descriptions faster. You show them 3 wow moments live, saving them 30 minutes right there, and give them 5 pre-tested prompts to take home. You've just become the indispensable authority.
And finally, playbook point 5. Make retainers your default. This is your safety net, especially when the economy gets a little rocky.
It's the fundamental difference between long-term growth and that feast or famine cycle we all hate. When things get tight, one-time projects are the first thing to get cut from a budget. But services that are keeping the business running and cutting costs, those almost never get canceled.
So you don't call it maintenance. That sounds passive, boring. You charge for optimization and evolution.
Yes, focus the value on active, forward-looking work. You say, we do a weekly review for accuracy, we update the AI with your new pricing, and we send a monthly report on lead quality.
Hmm.
If you charge, say, $1,500 a month, you frame it as a non-negotiable investment that prevents losses and keeps them ahead of the competition.
Okay, let's pull all of this together. The headlines are screaming doom, but the data is telling a very different, very specific story. We have 2 key facts. First, the utility of AI is absolutely here to stay. The demand is real and it's growing.
And second, it's the small and medium businesses, the nimble speedboats, that are the big success stories. A 79% success rate compared to that 95% failure rate for enterprises.
And your role as the agency, the service provider, is confirmed. You're the necessary bridge. Companies can't do this alone. So the stock market bubble for the Magnificent Seven might pop because of circular spending, but the actual utility of AI in the real economy is going to remain robust.
Absolutely.
Mm.
The future belongs to those who prepare. So we encourage you, just pick one action point from this playbook this week. Maybe practice calculating that dollar ROI for a potential client, or draft up a training workshop offer. Just take one step to become an optimizer, not just a builder.
And here's a final provocative thought for you to consider. If the failure rate for custom AI projects inside massive global enterprises is 95%, what foundational business assumption does that reveal about traditional corporate structures in the face of truly rapid technological change?
A question worth thinking about. Thank you for diving deep into the sources with us today.
Stay curious. We'll see you next time.